it's Sonia, your health promotion coordinator, and we're back today to make cornbread. So I know cornbread is technically something that a lot of people associate with fall and Thanksgiving. Well, newsflash, the weather here in North Dakota is fall-like, but I also like to just have cornbread. It makes for a great, easy breakfast in the morning, a nice side at lunch or dinner. It's just something that's nice to have on hand, and it's super easy. It's quick, it's simple, and it's something that tends to please the whole family. So I'm gonna go ahead and take you through our ingredients and what you'll need to make this cornbread. The star of this recipe are cornmeal. I got the Quaker cornmeal. They have Bob's Red Mill. Whatever type you buy, you just want to get one that is pretty finely ground, and I can show you the inside. See, that's really fine. That's perfect. And then I always make sure to just read the ingredients too, to make sure that it's really just the cornmeal that's in there. And they do sometimes enrich it with vitamins. That's completely fine. All right, then I will also be going ahead and using whole wheat flour. For anyone who is gluten-free, feel free to substitute. They have a lot of flours out there that are a 1-to-1 ratio. Go ahead and use that. The nice thing about cornmeal is that already is gluten-free, so it's pretty easy to just substitute out the whole wheat flour for a gluten-free flour. Okay, then I will be using vegan butter. So I'm actually really excited that I discovered this. I think it tastes pretty similar to regular butter. If you choose to use regular butter, get the one that's unsalted. But with the vegan butter, it's really just like coconut oil. And so it even says it here, cashew and coconut oil spread. So it has the consistency of butter. It melts like butter. You can melt it in the microwave. It spreads on really nicely if you want to put it on your cornbread once it comes out of the oven, or like a piece of toast in the morning. But I'm choosing to use that. It just has less fat in it. And so for anyone, the other option, I guess, would be for anyone who is vegan or trying to follow a plant-based diet, this is a great alternative. All right, I am also going to be using oat milk. You could go ahead and use buttermilk. So this recipe that I'm using has oat milk and yogurt. You could substitute those two out for buttermilk because it is thicker, but I will just be using this because that's what I have on hand. I also have my Greek yogurt here. So you'll notice that it's vanilla Greek yogurt. That's because that's what I have on hand. But if you have plain Greek yogurt, that's actually probably more ideal. In the recipe, it does call for honey, so I've cut down the amount of honey that I put in because I am using vanilla yogurt, so it balances out the sweetness. I will also be using baking powder and baking soda. Fun fact, a lot of people tend to keep a container of baking soda in their fridge just so that way they don't, it helps absorb the smell, I should say. Please do not use the one that you have to absorb the smell. Use one that you have specifically for cooking. So that's what this is. All right, I have my honey here. This is pure honey. It's unfiltered, so I always recommend getting raw unfiltered honey. That way you know it hasn't been through a process where they take out a lot of the nutrients and it becomes more sugar-like. This is more natural, so I always like to buy it. And I recommend buying local honey. So this is Minnesota, North Dakota raised. That means that the bees are local. It helps with things like allergies, which I think a lot of people are beginning to experience the harvest allergies right now. So I just always like that. And it helps to support local business and local farmers. Okay, and then our last three ingredients, you'll use just a dash of sea salt. I believe it's a half teaspoon if you're using regular salt, but since I'm using sea salt, I'm just gonna do a quick grind. And then I have vanilla extract. Always aim to buy pure vanilla extract. I just think it tastes better. It doesn't have as many fillers. There's not as many additives in it. It's your natural extract. It comes straight from the vanilla, from the actual like vanilla seed and vanilla plant. So aim for that. And then last but not least, my EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. So I always use this in just about every recipe that I've made. I use extra virgin olive oil. For this recipe, I'll be using it to coat our oven-safe baking dish that I will go ahead and actually bake the cornbread in. You only need about a teaspoon of this, so you can kind of just eyeball it and then spread it around. Last but not least, we have our eggs. So I have not said this already, but I will actually be doubling the recipe. The cornbread actually stores really well in the freezer, so I like to make some and then put it in the freezer to then grab out when I want later on. So if you're only having this or making one serving, you just need one egg, but I'm doubling it, so I'm gonna take 2. Okay, so if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that we always start off by washing our hands. This is just to follow CDC guidelines and practice food safety techniques in the kitchen. When you're washing your hands, you want to make sure that you wash them with warm soapy water for 20 seconds. Make sure that you get around your wrists, in between your fingers, and underneath your fingernails. Those are the areas that most people tend to miss. This is good practice whether we're in the middle of a pandemic or not. It's good to do when you're touching anything that's raw, if you're just gonna go eat the food, if you're prepping it. So just get into the habit of doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands, and then I'll meet you back when we're preheating our oven. Here we are, we're gonna preheat our oven, 350 degrees, hit start. Okay, you'll hear the beep because we probably won't be done prepping. And then once it's preheated, you're ready to stick things in. Okay, so one of the other reasons I really like this is because it's pretty easy in the cleanup section. You don't need too much. So I recommend getting a mid to large size mixing bowl. My medium sized mixing bowls are preoccupied currently, so I'll be using a large one. And I'm just gonna start off by measuring out 2.5 cups of our cornmeal. So it's right here. And measuring it out is really easy. You're just gonna pour it in here. You just wanna kind of flatten it out. You could use a knife to help you get it flat. I always just shake it out to flatten it and then pour on top. Okay, so there's 1 cup. Two cups, and I need to actually get in there, so I'm gonna finish the rest on my own. Okay, so now that our cornmeal is in, we're gonna go ahead and add in our whole wheat flour. So it just calls for a cup of whole wheat flour. Scooping it out here. Again, if you are gluten-free, you can go ahead and get other flours that you can bake with, and a lot of them do kind of tell you the ratio of what, if you were to use regular flour, whole wheat or white, what amount of gluten-free flour you need. And so here is our cup of whole wheat flour. I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there. And then really quickly, I'm just gonna take a wooden spoon and begin to mix it up together to kind of incorporate everything. If you have any clumps of flour, you just want to break those up, and they break up really easily too. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and add in our baking soda. So I have 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Just gonna scoop it in, put that in there. We're done with our baking soda. And then 3 teaspoons of baking powder. This is what helps the cornbread actually rise. So I also notice my baking powder tends to kind of clump together, so sometimes I have to like scrape it out. So there's 1. And fun fact, so if you're ever looking at your baking powder, you'll notice that the little container has like a lip here. You can see it. I always use it so that way I don't have heaping tablespoons or teaspoons of baking powder. I use it to just kind of help flatten it out. There's 2, we only need 1 more. Okay. And then our last dry ingredient that's gonna get added in is just our dash of sea salt. All right. So now you can go ahead and mix this up together, which I'm gonna do, and I'll meet you back when it's time to add in our wet ingredients. So all of our dry ingredients are here in the bowl. You can see there might be a few little chunks of baking powder left. Just mix those in. All right, so it's pretty well incorporated now. The cornmeal and the flour have kind of blended really nicely together. So you can see the difference, but for the most part, they're all blended. And I'm gonna start by going ahead and adding the wet ingredients in right now. Okay, so we're gonna start off by actually melting our butter, and I wanna show you what this looks like. A lot of people sometimes question how authentic vegan butter might be, or they're like, that's not gonna look good. So I just wanna show you guys, it's really easy. You use it just like regular butter. We would need 2 tablespoons for this. And so it's really nice because they actually have it marked out here for you. So you can actually see, if it focuses, you can actually see where the cups are, where the tablespoons are. So like if you look right here, gotta get this to focus. It says, okay, from one line to the next line is 1 tablespoon. So I know that 2 of those lines are gonna be 2 tablespoons. And I just open it up like you would a regular thing of butter. And I look on the outside to measure it. And then I just go ahead, I can see the ridges through the paper too. I just go ahead right there and chop that. It breaks pretty easily too, and I'm just gonna put it in a little microwave safe bowl right here. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it in the microwave. It only needs like 30 seconds to melt, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in there and wash my hands. Okay, so our vegan butter, you can see it right here, it melted. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of form a little nest in the flour. So I'm gonna pour that in there and then crack my 2 eggs. And again, once I crack the eggs, because they are raw, I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands. I don't wanna cross-contaminate. So there's 1 egg. And my 2nd egg. And before I add the oat milk and yogurt, wash your hands again, 20 seconds, just to prevent the spread of salmonella or other foodborne illnesses. Okay, so I'm back and I'm going to kind of mix this together just to begin incorporating the eggs and to break up the yolk. If you have a mixer, by all means, go for it, use it. I don't have a mixer, but this is nice because it's less cleanup, so I enjoy that part. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add my 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So there's 1, 2, good thing this was over the bowl because I kind of missed on that last one. And then I'm also gonna add in my 1/2 cup of oat milk. So if you've watched my other videos, I've shown you how to measure it. But first we're gonna go ahead and shake up the oat milk. That's just because it will separate and sometimes you'll end up with pieces of the oat at the bottom. So you wanna look to see where the 1/2 cup mark is. So you can see it right there. And as you're pouring, you're gonna look to make sure that the meniscus, so where it actually dips, is at a 1/2 cup. And that's how you know that you have a full 1/2 cup. Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go ahead, if I can shut the oat milk, we're gonna go ahead and add that in there. And then I'll mix this together a little, and then last but not least, add in my yogurt. Okay, so our last ingredient to add, or I guess our last like main wet ingredient, is our yogurt. Again, I told you I'm using vanilla Greek yogurt, so we're gonna alter the amount of honey that we put in just because we don't want it to be sickly sweet. Since I'm altering it and using vanilla yogurt, I'm only gonna use 3 to 4 tablespoons. If you use plain Greek yogurt, so plain non-fat Greek yogurt, you're gonna wanna have just a little bit more to give it that sweeter texture. If you don't like your cornbread sweet, you can stick with the 3 to 4 tablespoons. That's just completely like your personal preference. So I'm just gonna open it. This is a brand new packet, which is really nice, or a brand new tub of yogurt. So since I am doubling it, I'm gonna use 1 full cup. So I have a spoon to help me pour it in from the container into my measuring cup. If you are aiming to make this completely vegan, you can go ahead and use another yogurt that has like dairy-free, or that is dairy-free, so I guess a dairy-free alternative. Ooh, that was the word I'm looking for. All right, so we have our cup. It's not even here, but this is our cup of yogurt. I'm just gonna go ahead and add it into the bowl and then mix everything together before we add our honey in. So I'll see you back when we're adding in the honey. Okay, so the one thing I want to point out just for your reference when you're making this on your own, if you're sitting here thinking, wow, this is really thick, it's not as liquidy or I guess as runny as sometimes like brownies or other batter is, that is completely fine. It should be thick. It is pretty dry just because cornmeal is not gonna be a source of moisture, and then obviously we have flour, so two very dry ingredients, and those make up the bulk of our ingredients. So that's completely normal. If you feel like you're getting an arm workout, you're in good shape. And so last but not least, we're gonna add in our honey. So I'll use 4 tablespoons. Again, since we use vanilla yogurt, 3 to 4 is fine. Measuring it is always a bit of a challenge. If you have okay, we just spilled half of our honey back out. If you have the honey that squeezes, you can just squeeze it in here, but this honey that I bought does not have the squeeze ability. So, okay, just gonna quickly, and so there you go. There's 1. And I'll repeat this 3 more times. So I'll see you back here when I'm mixing it all in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and mix it in. I've already kind of pre-mixed some of the honey. Fun fact, actually, in some ancient cultures, so like ancient Greece, for example, yogurt and honey were considered the foods of the gods. So I really like the pairing of like plain Greek yogurt and honey anyway. And that's a nice way sometimes to actually measure out how much sugar you're getting rather than buying flavored yogurt. By all means, I still buy like vanilla, strawberry, blueberry yogurt too, but that's just a little bit of cultural, I guess, fun fact for you. All right, so I'll see you as we're about to put this in our pan. All right, so we're back. This is what it looks like when it's mixed. You can see it's pretty thick. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our oven-safe baking dish ready. I'm using a Le Creuset. It's not huge, it's pretty standard size. I really like Le Creuset. I feel like it cleans up really nicely. It is oven-safe. You can then put it in the fridge too, so it can withstand several different temperatures, but I just like that the inside really cleans nicely. A lot of food doesn't seem to get stuck to it. So I'm gonna start off by putting in like 1 teaspoon of olive oil. You can kind of guesstimate this. You don't need to actually precisely measure it. And then I'm gonna take my pastry brush and just, you can see it in there. Woo, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and paint it as if I were painting a picture in school. So this is what the bird's eye view looks like. There's nothing too scientific about this. Literally just coat the pan so that way the cornbread doesn't stick to it. All right. So after I fully coat this, I'm gonna go ahead and pour our mixture in there. And since I need both hands, I am not gonna film that, but I'll show you what it looks like right before we put it in the oven. The mixture all in my pan. I then take a butter knife and just kind of spread it out, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm human, so I'm not perfect in the way I layer it out here, and I may need to get some more in the edges just because it lumps together in the middle. So I just take the knife and kind of evenly try to spread it around. All right, so here it is, and we are ready to now put it in the oven. Finished preheating to 350 a while ago. I am now sliding this in there. It's centered. The cooking time will vary depending upon your stove. So for me, at the 30-minute mark, I'm gonna come check on it. It should look pretty golden. I mean, it's cornbread, so it'll have a nice yellow color. And then you'll also be able to test the middle and see if it's firm when you press on it. So I'm gonna give it 30 to 45 minutes, but come check on it at the 30-minute mark. See you in a few. Here's our cornbread. It really rose. It has a nice crack in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. As always, when you're taking out things from the oven, make sure that you use an oven mitt or a pot holder so that way you never touch the hot item. You don't wanna end up with third or second degree burn. One of the tests is to kind of press it and make sure it's firm. It's pretty firm. It's also pretty golden brown, so we know that it's done. I hope you enjoyed cooking with me today and that you get to make this on your own, whether you have it now in September or you have it later on around Thanksgiving. I hope that you get to try our cornbread recipe. As always, if you do try it and you make any alterations to it, or you just like the way it came out, be sure to tag us at UND Wellness, give us a shout out, and we'll feature you in one of our stories. Until next time, bye!